Let me just remind all policymakers, and certainly everyone here today, that the Iraqi government made an international commitment, a binding commitment, to protect the camp's residents. That commitment has been broken. The U.S. and the international community must demand accountability, and we demand that accountability now. And as a result of the most recent attack, clearly the MOU signed between the UN and the Iraqi government does not contain strong enough protections for the residents of Camp Liberty, and they must be called to account, and the United States must step forward and insist now treatment for all the wounded, defense and support to prevent Iranians or Iraqi militia from attacking that camp. And this issue is simple. This is a critical time. The U.S. position must be clear. It must be steadfast. Human rights must be respected, and there are universal obligations, and the residents of Camp Liberty deserve no less than protections under these universal obligations. And lastly, Iran must be called to account, because we know at the bottom of it, at the bottom of the attacks, it is the forces in Iran that give the orders to carry out these attacks.
And you'll always have my support. Keep on spreading the truth so that the American people and the people of the world will understand that what has happened is a tragedy, and that we have to end this tragedy. We have to end it, and we can no longer look the other way. The world needs to focus on what is happening here. And I want just to assure you in closing that you will always have my support, and you have very great leaders, and we will keep talking about it until those people are free.
And a deadly and deplorable act, an attack, another attack on Camp Liberty that has left 24 dead, scores more injured. When will this stop? And there are really two sad realities here. The first is that this attack could have been predicted. Who is surprised that this happened when the community has been saying for years now, whether it was at Camp Ashraf, whether it's at Camp Liberty, no one is safeguarding us, no one is protecting us, no one is looking out for our welfare. The second problem is that this attack should have been prevented. Under the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding between the government of Iraq and the United Nations, it clearly spells out the Iraqis are responsible for providing additional security for the residents of Camp Liberty to ensure their safety, and also to hold accountable those responsible for the attacks against the camp. So the Iraqi government failed, the United Nations failed. We must not allow this great country of ours to also fail. We've got to have additional security for the Camp Liberty residents, and we've got to find those responsible and hold them accountable. It is a point that I have brought up at every level in this administration, from the State Department to the Oval Office, and I even spoke personally with Prime Minister Abadi about the security, lack of security at Camp Liberty when I traveled to Iraq with Speaker Boehner earlier this year. Spoke to him face to face and said we cannot allow these residents to be unprotected. We'll take care of it. What has been done? But I will continue to push this issue at every opportunity until we see concrete results, because frankly, what we have seen so far has been shameful.
And our government, in my opinion, is twiddling its thumbs in the protection of Camp Liberty. I am really tired of all of the politically correct statements by the State Department, and the State Department trying to play nice with the Iranians and play nice with the Iraqis, because what has happened, People have died while the State Department twiddles its thumbs. Now, it's real simple. We want the person in charge of Camp Liberty in the Iraqi government to be gone. He is a failure.
So, no more diplomatic talk. Solve the problem, protect the folks, and we need to do that whether the Iranian government or the Iraqi government like it or not. And that's just the way it is.
I'm on my way overseas in about 3 hours. We all got to do our part. I'm trying to do mine. You do yours. We're going to save these people, but we're also going to save the world from this evil that the people of Camp Liberty and Camp Ashraf, they shined as a beacon there of hope for people who oppose these radical mullahs in Iran who are subjugating the people in Iran to their kind of tyranny.
And there's no better test
of whether the Iraqi government is a serious part of an international order that respects human rights, dignity, and democracy, or whether that government is instead a puppet of Iran. There is no better test for that than what goes on at Camp Liberty. If the United States is going to provide air defense resources to Iraq, we should not exclude Camp Liberty. When we evaluate the Iraqi government, we have to ask, why is it attack after attack on Camp Liberty and no one is held accountable, no one is arrested, no one who's in charge of security is demoted, removed, transferred? What's going on here?
I believe that there is no question, in my view, having worked with the Iraqi government, that the Iraqi government was complicit in this attack. That I believe that the Iranian government was complicit in this attack. And the United States must do everything it can to help the people that are being oppressed in Camp Liberty.
To include tying U.S. aid to the welfare and the conditions of those in Camp Liberty. And I think that that's absolutely critical, that we continue putting pressure, not simply on the government of Iraq, but on the American government, but on the United States State Department, to make sure that they are not forgetting the people in Camp Liberty, because it's convenient to do so